I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still have the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that's an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is. Yeah. And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools?
For this 48 hours before Kirk was assassinated, he began to question Israel. What's also weird is Charlie Kirk was invited to Israel, but he decided to decline. Then it gets weirder when you find out that Trump and the president of Israel tweeted at the exact same time, on 2 different time zones. So this is something to question. And also on Reddit, anybody who talks against Israel is being banned. All these people are putting up all these things asking about Israel and Charlie Kirk, and they're being banned. And there's a lot of talk about how Israel is responsible for 9/11. So that controlled demolition. Also, why would they fireproof the buildings prior to it happening? And then if we take it back a step further with JFK and how he was actually against Israel, and if you notice right there for Palestine, and then he got taken out. And then it gets weirder when you find out that a book came out on the exact same day. You kind of see how this is very strange. So it seems there's some sort of connection of a playbook here. The Protocols of Zion by Eustace Mullins. People should look into this. Look at all these. We know all of this stuff. Taking away the gold, charging high interest rates, screwing the people. Seems there's a playbook. And then there was this transgender person who was saying something was going to happen tomorrow. They already knew. Here's what's weird too, is in Germany, that's the books that they were banning and burning. Guess they left that one out. And back on that 9/11 topic, Eustace Mullins was asked about 9/11. Is it a government job or a Zionist inside job? And he responds, it's a Zionist inside job. You see how things seem to be connected here? Then you go into who owns the FBI. See how these are all connected? Everything seems to be going back to going against Israel. At least that's my thought. And let's just leave it right here.
Told the background of the Jews as white slavers. They were very active in slavery. They brought slavery to America.
Before I let you go, I want you to address one thing, and it's just the absurdity of it. Some of the internet rumors that somehow Israel is behind the Charlie Kirk murder, and I don't believe it for 1 second, but I want you to make a statement. It's so absurd.
That's insane. That's insane. Israel also changes the orbit of the moon. Israel pushes the sun. I mean, the whole thing is—it's not only insane. I think it's so absurd, so stupid, and so ridiculous. You can't believe that people are saying this. They just found the perpetrator. They'll get to the bottom of this. But they go, they have no limits. When you hate Jews, when you hate the Jewish state, you're willing to say anything and promote all these absurd rumors. And by the way, they're willing to kill us all the time. I mean, that's what they're doing. And over the centuries, when Jews, especially in the Middle Ages, the horrific Middle Ages, the worst things were said about Jews you couldn't possibly believe. We were poisoning the wells. We were drinking the blood of Christian children. You name it. I mean, these things, that continued actually up to the Holocaust. The Nazis said the same thing. We're carrying vermin. We're spreading disease. And people believed it, and every time they believed it, this was a prelude to a greater and greater massacre, culminating with the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust. Well, since then, we've learned, when people spread these lies about us, prepare yourself for the assault. And, they're trying to delegitimize the state of Israel. Charlie Kirk said to me that, he wrote me this detailed letter, you have to fight the slander. these untruths, these vilifications have consequences. And he was right. But I'll tell you one thing, we're fighting on the battlefield against the terrorists and winning. And he was fighting on the battlefield of ideas. And I think he was winning. He was going to win. That's why they shot him. I hope they don't silence him. I don't think people will give in to these ridiculous, ridiculous lies.
Peter Thiel, the FBI informant and CIA contractor, Elon Musk, the defense contractor and PayPal mafia member with Peter Thiel, close confidant of David Sachs, and J.D. Vance, who brokered the David Sachs fundraiser with Silicon Valley and Trump, mentored by Peter Thiel, mentored by David Frum, who worked for Bill Kristol with Tucker Carlson. Thiel, Musk, and Tucker lobbied Trump to pick Vance, and they said, if you don't, the CIA will kill you. Who's the CIA? Who does the CIA, NSA, FBI, DHS, who do they all contract with? Palantir, founded by Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and Joe Lonsdale, Israel First Jews that after October 7th flew their board to Israel and provided them with facial recognition technology to murder Palestinians. J.D. Vance, who upon becoming the VP nominee in his first interview said, we're going to bomb Iran, who went to the Quincy Institute and said, we need a pro-Israel spin on America first. Tucker, who interviewed Vance 46 times on his show, Vance hired his son. Vance's Rockbridge network was the spawning point of 1789 Capital, founded by Rebecca Mercer and Claire Monster Chris Buskirk, which gave Tucker $15 million. Rebecca Mercer funded Steve Bannon at Breitbart that spawned Milo Yiannopoulos' career. And Rebecca Mercer hand-selected George Farmer, Candace Owens' husband, to run Parler in 2021. This is why they want me dead. Who's the Fed? Who's the Fed here? Because I brought all the receipts.